Okay, we are picking up now, middle of chapter 42 of Genesis. So we'll come back a quick review. So as remember, we left off, we have uh, Joseph has now been put in charge of everything in Egypt. There's a famine in the land, and now his brothers come to him out of need. So God just forces the situation together through world famines, through all kinds of troubles. He brings them to account to fulfill the word he gave to them. If you remember last time, Joseph recognized them, but they don't recognize him. And so, if you remember, he now begins to test them. And what was this? What happens when they first arrive? He accuses them of something, if you remember.
Being spies.
He falsely accused them of being spies. And in response, how do they defend themselves to him?
They're honest men.
Yeah, we're honest men. And they even tell them who they are. They say, what do they say about themselves?
They tell about their whole family.
Yeah. We are what is it? We are 12 brothers, and
Yeah.
one of them is with the father, one of them's no more. And
Right.
so Joseph takes the opportunity to test them. And so what is the test? And it's a fascinating test that he gives to them. Well, let's read it. Chapter 42. We'll pick it up there again, let's just read it again. Verse 12 to 17. Let's see. Haley, would you read that for us? If you can see it, okay? Is that big enough?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull it up again. So this is Genesis 42. We'll start with 12 to 17. Let's see. There we go.
Okay. He said to them, "No, it is nakedness of the land that you have come to see." And they said, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, and the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is no more." But Joseph said to them, it is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your younger brother, while you remain confined, that your word may be tested, whether there is truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh.
Okay. All right. I lost you there for a second. Okay. Yeah, so in our text here, you can see that they present themselves, and he gives them this test. He says, you're going to go and bring back your younger brother, and then I'll know that you are that you're telling the truth. And he tests them. But he doesn't, that's not exactly what happens. He puts them in custody for 3 days, and then after 3 days now they're locked up or wherever they are in custody. Not sure what's going to happen to them. Brings them out, and now he gives them an alternative. Instead of them going to get their brother before they can get food, he decides to give them what they need, but in exchange, he'll do something different. So let's take a look at that. 18. Rob, Roy, you want to get that 18 to where is it? This is driving me crazy with this. All right, 18 down to 25. Let's do that.
On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined where you are in custody, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your households. And bring your youngest brother to me. So your words will be verified, and you shall not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? But you did not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood." They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. Then he turned away from them and wept, and he returned to them and spoke to them. He took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to replace every man's money in his sack and give them provisions for the journey. This was done for them.
Okay. Very interesting test we talked about before. So let's kind of break it down. What exactly is the test of his brothers? What do they do? What does he do to them?
He's going to see if they care for the one brother.
Yeah.
That he's going to hold. I mean, it's possible that they just save their own skin and ditch the one brother.
Yeah.
Just like they did to Joseph.
Yeah.
And see if they've learned anything here.
The question is, has anything changed? And right now, and even the putting the money back in their bags is actually a significant part of this test. Because it brings you back now to the beginning. When they betrayed Joseph, they sold him as a slave. Now he's doing the same thing for them, where Simeon is taken and he gives them their money back as if they just sold Simeon as a slave also. So it's really a fascinating setup. And so here's an interesting, I want to tell you a little, one of my favorite stories that my dad told me. It's called a Hoja story. There was this, it's like a funny character that he would just tell these Hoja stories, and where Hoja is this wise, respected man, but he's kind of a fool and kind of a goofy guy too. But there's this one story where Hoja goes into a Turkish bath to get, which is really big there. They get a some of these baths, you get full treatments. You go to steam bath, you get cleaned up, you get a nice massage, they give you fruit and everything. And he goes there and they just treat him like garbage. They give him a very poor bath. They give him barely a massage, and then they give him some old fruit. There's nothing interesting about it. And they after the bath, the servants would line up to receive a tip. And they're not expecting anything from Hoja because they don't think he's anything to give anyway, so they don't care. And he goes and he gives each of them a gold coin, which is really expensive. And then he walks out, and they start thinking to themselves, oh my goodness, he gave us a gold coin. This guy's rich. Imagine what he would have given us if we did a great job for him. So the next time he comes in, how are they going to treat Hoja when he comes in? They're going to give him the royal treatment. They give him the best massage he's ever had. They take care of him. They clean him up. They give him the best fruit they can, and just absolutely indulge him. And then at the end, they put out their hands waiting for their tip, expecting to receive a huge amount. And he gives each of them a penny this time. And they say, wait a minute, what's going on here? He says, when we did nothing for you, you gave us a gold coin, and now we do everything, you give us a penny. He says, oh yeah. He says, the penny was for last time. The gold coin was for this time. He says, so that's kind of what's happening here in this story. Is you have the last time we saw the brothers in this situation, they were guilty. They were guilty of wickedness, but they were able to get away with it, and they lied, and they had this appearance of innocence. Now they are innocent, and yet they have all the appearance of guilt. It's almost like it's like a switch here. We're going to test you out here, and you look guilty, even though you're innocent, but that look of guilt is what you were missing last time when you got away with it. This time, you don't. And so they're making the connection, you'll notice. And verse Reuben is making that connection for them. There comes now a reckoning for his blood. They've been feeling the guilt. They know it. God is doing something here.
Pastor,
Yes, sir.
before you go on, can I just ask, when I read this on my own, the first time through, I felt that the money was being put in there to also test them and to test their honesty. to see if they would, say, oh, by the way, there's confusion and bring the money back. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any validity to that or not, but that was the impression I got when I read it first time through.
Oh, I think absolutely true. Yeah, that's definitely part of that. Are they really honest men? Will they, they were motivated by money last time. They sold their brother for money. Will they do it again? And that's going to be a test. Will they bring it back? So you're going to see this now. He's really testing. It's very important going forward that their repentance be seen. If there's going to be a reconciliation, Joseph needs to know that they've repented. They also need to know that Joseph knows that they've repented, so to speak. So it needs to come out. And so this test is really important. If he just reveals himself and they grovel before him because he's suddenly powerful, how does he know that their hearts have changed or that they're just afraid of being punished by him? How does he know? So he has to hide himself to test them.
I'm trying to remember what a few chapters ago, I know Reuben wanted to protect Joseph, right? And he was trying to get his brothers to kind of cut Joseph some slack.
Yeah.
Wasn't Simeon the driving force behind the wicked act of selling him to the Ishmaelites?
It was Judah.
Was it Judah? Okay.
Yeah, it was Judah who was the one who saw the Ishmaelites. Now, we don't know if Judah was trying to save him, sort of as opposed to killing him. Remember, the original intent was to kill him. And then Judah sees that Ishmael's coming and let's just sell him off. He is our brother after all. Let's get a little cash for him. So it's almost, I think Judah was sort of, the way it's written, sounded to me like he is, in his own way, is trying to take the least extreme of wickedness. So better to sell him as a slave than to kill him. Because remember, that was, and I think Simeon comes to mind because Simeon is a murderer. Simeon, if you remember, and Levi were the ones who killed all the men of Shechem.
Right.
So it's certainly in Simeon's character to go forward and to shed the blood. So it's quite possible but it was Judah's idea to sell him.
Right.
Let's pick it up from there. Bob Fowler, would you get the next section here, 26 to 27?
They loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of the sack. He said to his brothers, "My money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack." At this, their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?"
Interesting. All right. So they load their donkeys. And one of them, we don't know who it was, notices something.
The money that was supposed to pay for this grain, they still have it.
Yeah. One of the brothers sees that the money is back in his sack. And notice what he says. Well, what they said. They're terrified.
What's this God's done to us?
Yeah, what are they why are they so scared?
Well, they're still thinking that there's retribution to be paid for the selling of their brother.
Yeah, and what will be immediately, what do they feel like so they're feeling like, okay, they are they feel themselves under God's wrath. There's a reckoning coming. And what are they when they see the money in the sack? What is that? What are they specifically afraid of at this point?
Well, they're trying to prove that they're honest men. And here they are, they've still got their money and the grain. And they know that their one brother's still back there. They're trapped. They've got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Where they're going to go with this.
Yeah. yeah, there's like they're fearful of well, they're leaving Egypt now. Will they be seen as those who have just stolen grain or have even sold their brother again? But yeah, they're fearful of punishment for theft, because this is they look like shoplifters right now. They've gone in, they've gotten grain, and they still have all their money in their purse. They look like thieves. And that fear of God is setting, they feel like God is behind this. They know God is behind this, setting them up for the punishment that they deserve. They got away with it before, and this punishment that they're waiting for this shoe to drop. For this is the punishment that they deserve.
So clearly they had turned the money over to pay for the grain, but then it ends up back in their sacks.
Yes, yes. Joseph gave orders to fill it back the grain and to replace every man's money in his back. So it's clearly they paid, but now it looks like they didn't pay.
Right.
So that's a problem. So let's pick it up from there. Let's see. Jeff, you want to read the next paragraph? Are you able to? How's your reception over there? You got a little choppy before.
Yeah, it's a little choppy.
Okay.
I'll try and
All right.
bear with.
29,
So starting with 29?
29 and 34, yeah.
Okay, perfect. When they came to Jacob, their father in the land of Canaan, they told him all that happened to them, saying, "The man, the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us, and took us to be spies of the land. But we said to him, We are honest men. We have never been spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan." Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, "By this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for famine of your household, and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me, then I shall know that you are not spies, but honest men, and I will deliver your brother to you, and you shall trade in the land."
Okay. So what's happening in this paragraph here?
Bringing their father up to date on what's happened.
Yeah, really, nothing really is happening. And they're just kind of the brothers are retelling the story to Jacob. So Jacob now is informed about the situation. Man, the Lord spoke roughly to us, told them we're not spies, we're 12 sons, and so forth. And then they now empty their sacks. So let's take a look at that. Let me just hang on a second. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna just do a page break here so we can read it all together. So 35 down to 38. Jack or Teresa? Teresa, you want to read that for us? 35 to 38.
Yes. As they emptied their sacks, behold, every man's bundle of money was in the sack. And when they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob said to them, "You have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin. All this has come against me." Then Reuben said to his father, "Kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you." But he said, "My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm should happen to him on the journey that you're about to make, you would bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to Sheol."
Okay. All right. Interesting take here. What's going on with Jacob and his brothers? What does Jacob say after? So they empty their sacks. Every man's bundle of money was in their sack, and their brother, the father, sees the bundles of money, and they are all afraid now. So what does Jacob then say to them? He's bereaved.
Yeah, you said it before, they look like shoplifters.
Yeah.
And I'm not letting you take my youngest son back, looking like, slime ball, so to speak, in front of this person in Egypt where I'll never see my youngest son again.
Yeah. Who is Jacob holding responsible for his grief?
His other sons.
Yeah. You, 10 brothers. Actually, 9 brothers in this case here. Have bereaved me of my children. You've done this to me. And what does he list them out? What does he say? Joseph is
No more.
no more. Simeon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin. Does Jacob know what happened to Joseph?
Not the real story.
Yeah, why does he blame them then?
Well, Joseph went out to report on them and he never came back.
Yeah, he sent him out to them and they didn't bring him back safely. They only brought back the coat. And one said, how much he knows, does he suspect? We don't know, but it's interesting. Their father has laid the blame upon them. The guilt is coming down upon them, and they lay the blame for Simeon on them. Why did you tell them that you were brothers? I'm not sure if did he get that last time? Later on, I think he brings that out. And now you want to take Benjamin from me. And so it's like one by one, his children are falling before him, his sons. All this has come against me.
I suspect that-
Reuben,
I
yeah, go ahead.
suspect that deep down, he probably knew they were slime balls.
You think that, yeah. I mean, you can't get away with that. And he's already seen the depravity of these men already. What Levi and Simeon did, what Reuben did. Remember what Reuben did?
Well, and they were, he was, yeah, they were mad at Joseph because he had told last time, about the things that they had done wrong.
Yeah. He knew they're jealous of him. And again, we've already seen several of his top 4 sons, Reuben, Levi, Simeon, and Judah, have already had scandals, big scandals. Reuben, if you remember what he did. Remember that? He slept with one of his concubines.
Yeah.
Remember that, which was an act of absolute rebellion against his father. Levi and Simeon, they went off and murdered an entire tribe of people who were living nearby out of vengeance for their sister, which could have got them wiped out for their desire to get revenge. And then Judah, we just saw his situation before, and that whole situation with Tamar, where he has this scandalous relationship with his daughter-in-law. This horrifying stuff. Those are his top 4 kids. He knows that the metal. These are wicked people. They're so depraved, and so now it's judgment day, and not only are they realizing that God is behind this, now we hear Jacob being the accuser of them. You bereaved me. He's holding them responsible, and he rightly should. Reuben, in response, what does he say?
Kill my 2 sons if I don't bring him back, your youngest back to you.
Yeah, strange offer, right? It's a way of guaranteeing, attempts, I should say, to guarantee. And he says, if I don't bring who back to you?
Benjamin.
Yeah, bring Benjamin back. You can kill my 2 sons. You know,
In other words, kill 2 of your grandsons? I don't think so.
yeah, it's just and that's not a. I mean, I get it in one sense, but it's a terrible. There's no consolation in that. But it's almost, but it's interesting the way he phrases it. He speaks to his father. Hang on a second. He speaks to his father as if he is like an enemy, because that's what you would do if you deal with your enemies that way. If you kill my son, I'll kill 2 of your sons, and that kind of vengeance that escalates. And so it's like this. It's like it's a strange family dynamic, but we're really there's a major break here. Jacob's response to that.
You're not taking Benjamin.
Yeah. No thanks. My son will not go down with you. His brother's dead. He's the only one left. If harm can come to him, then I will go down to the grave in sorrow. And Jacob's, and this is again, if you remember, Jacob is the one that God has chosen. This is the one he loves. And God is bringing Jacob to the darkest of places right now, where he is, at least in his mind, his favorite son is dead. And then one other son is left in Egypt. And then they want to take another one away from him. Add to that the death of his wife Rachel and all his humiliations along the way. You're like, wow, this is Jacob. This is the one God has chosen.
Pastor,
Yes.
why is Reuben so concerned about Simeon to give up his own sons for his brother?
No, it's not for Simeon. It's for Benjamin.
No, but I mean,
He says
the only reason he's taking Benjamin is to get his other son.
yeah, that's I think because these brothers have changed. I think they're suffering right now for past sins, but I really believe there's a repentance being worked out in real time before you, that they genuinely want to bring their brother back.
And they've given their word.
Yeah.
To prove that they're honest men. And now they're not going to be able to fulfill their word.
Yeah. Their character is being tested now, and you can see that they are different than they were before. Before, they wouldn't have cared. Before, they were all about themselves. They got what they wanted. They got rid of the one that annoyed them. Now it's like they feel the guilt of it, the conviction of their sins, and they are different men. I think they genuinely care about Simeon and want to bring him back. And they genuinely care about Benjamin and want to bring him back. And Reuben makes an attempt to get his father to go along, but his father's not there yet. His father is still embittered toward his sons. Yeah, Rob, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I think God in every situation acts in more than one direction at one time.
Yeah.
Every situation. And we're talking about what the impact is on these brothers and Jacob and all that stuff. How about Simeon?
Yeah.
He's back in the slammer thinking, boy, I sure hope my brothers have grown from where we were when we, put the screws to Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mercy. He's back there hoping for mercy.
Yeah. I know it. And the test of their faith comes out in these trials. That's what trials are. They're just testing their faith. The famine is a great trial for them all. Dealing with a hostile Egyptian prince whom is their brother, they don't know it, is a test for them. Having their brother taken from them is a test. How will they respond? Do they really love their brother? Do they really love their father? Have they really changed? Are they really honest men? What will they do with the money? Will they leave Simeon there? What will they do with the money that's been returned to them? Can Benjamin come back to them? How will that be? So That's the first test. There's a few more tests coming. This is not the end. So let's take a look at
Too
the
bad
next-
they didn't have, cell phones back then. Because I would like to hear Simeon talking to his brothers at this time and what he would have to say to them.
Yeah.
Because they could ditch him. They could do exactly what they did with Joseph and ditch Simeon.
Yeah.
What would Simeon have to say?
Yes. What do they say? There's no honor among thieves now, is there? So, yeah. So let's
He
just see.
might
If,
say, guys, I think we screwed up, getting rid of Joseph the way we did. Let's rethink our character.
yeah. So, well, one is taken captive for them all, and let's just see what where it goes from here. So this is actually now chapter 43, and we'll look at verses 1 down to 10. Let's see here. Bob Thomas, would you read that for us?
Sure. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain that they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little food." But Judah said to him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' Israel said, 'Why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother?' They replied, 'The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' What we told him was in answer to these questions. Could we, I always lose it where we are.
Right here.
Thank you. Could we in any way know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'? And Judah said to Israel his father, 'Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be a pledge of his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice.'"
Okay. How long a journey is it? Do you know, from Israel, from Canaan to Egypt? If they were to walk it, would that be like a couple weeks?
I was thinking of that myself. I mean,
Yeah.
It may not be as much if they're in Western Canaan, but they only have to go to Eastern Egypt. It's probably not that far.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm thinking that it's probably a couple months later. So Simeon's been in there.
Well,
Now,
because they've eaten all that food that they brought, and each one of them brought a full bag of food of grain.
So let's say probably a few months later. I don't know. We're not told the timeline, but after the grain had been eaten.
So they must have brought a lot of grain. They must have had donkeys stacked with bags. I mean, they surely had more than one meal worth of grain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They would have brought a lot. And again, maybe they're thinking, just get us enough for a couple months, because they didn't know that the famine's going to last 7 years, that it's going to keep going. They thought maybe we'll have just get us through this bridge here and we'll have some relief. But they run out and they need to get more food. All right. So now Judah begins to speak. So Jacob says, "Go buy us a little food." And what does Judah say? Now, keep an eye on Judah now. He does something very, very profound here.
We on verse 11?
Yeah, you can go down to the end if you want. We're at the verse this paragraph up down to verse 10. He gives the whole situation. He says, you can go and buy food. He says, we can't go buy. Why can't they go back right now?
says that it would be a worthless trip if
Yeah.
we went back without Joseph.
Yeah, we have to bring Benjamin to get food. Which is interesting. Again, this is where Jacob is right now. He's in a dark place because of what his sons have done to him. He's in a dark place, and he feels like that Simeon is lost. He really feels like Simeon is lost. And you can kind of understand that because Simeon is where is Simeon being held captive but in Egypt? And these are powerful, corrupt things. I don't know if you saw in the news, there was a journalist who was convicted of espionage by the Russians. I don't know if you saw that.
Mhm.
The Wall Street Journal. And
Yeah.
they're sentencing him to 16 years in prison. Now, I guarantee you, this guy was not a spy. They're trumping up the charges against him,
Right.
try to work a deal of some sort. There's a corruption there, and there's a corruption in Egypt. And so if he's thinking Simeon's done for, man. If they took Simeon from you, they've sold him as a slave. There's no getting him back. It's over, you know? And so in Jacob's mind, he's like, I'm not sending Benjamin with you. You know, I don't care. I'm not sending him with you. You keep losing sons on me here. Every time you go. But Judah's like, look, we have to bring Benjamin to get food. You know, we're all going to starve if we don't. So Benjamin's the guy that we have to bring with us here. So Judah says, but notice how Judah reasons with his dad that convinces him to do it. What does Judah say at the end? Verse 8 to 10.
So you can send the boy with us, and basically I will take responsibility for him. I will either bring him back or it'll be on me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, Judah presents himself as a pledge of safety, he says. So that if he doesn't come back, see, Reuben sets it up as one of vengeance. If harm comes to Benjamin, then you can take vengeance on my family. But Judah does it differently. He presents himself as a pledge of safety. And I like the phrase he uses there. What does he say? I will what? Verse,
I myself will be surety for him, is what the NASB says.
yeah. And he says, if I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever.
So Judah's just saying, trust me,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well, yeah, but he also makes a pledge of I will bear the blame for this. He will take the blame now for this, which is really there's a shadow of Christ in this, of the one
That's what I was thinking.
who takes the blame, who's willing to take the blame so that his family can be saved. To save his brothers, he puts himself out there. That's again where Judah has really repented. We've seen his repentance back in chapter, I think it was 37 or 38. And here he's a different man now.
You get those last few words inverted, I think. Where you typed it in.
I will
Blame the bear forever.
That actually works well too. Blame the bear. I will bear the blame. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It was Loki's fault. He did it.
But the resolution to this is going to come when Jacob trusts Judah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's that foreshadowing is what I'm thinking of. Judah as a type of Christ must be trusted.
Yeah.
And is this also why Christ is from the line of Judah? Is because Judah is Christ-like?
Yeah, Judah is absolutely. Judah will Christ will come from the line of Judah, and what you see in Judah is something you don't see in his older brothers, the three older brothers, Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. Is Judah has a real humbling, where the other brothers do not. Judah is a broken man, if you remember, after that Tamar thing. And then he steps forward and really puts himself out there as the one to bear the blame, to put the trust in it. And Jacob must trust his son, but he is the one who makes that pledge. That it's a compelling one, whereas Reuben's was not, for some reason. So Jacob must trust his son. Let's see that he does. So verse 11 to 14. Where do we go off here? Jack, you want to get that for us? 11 to 14.
Yeah, I will try. We keep disconnecting though.
Okay.
Then their father Israel said to them, if it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry a present down to the man, a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take the double money with you.
Luke-
The dogs are talking to each other across the lake. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise. Go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, and may he send you back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved.
Okay. All right, poor Jacob. So what happens? What does Jacob say?
Go for it.
If it must be so, do it.
Jacob really submits. Let me come down here for a second. Okay. This is the submission of Jacob, where he just is like, it has to be so. What can I do? So if I'm bereaved, I am bereaved. All right, but in order to help them, he gives them some counsel here of what they're supposed to do.
He says that give them double the money, because give them the money that came back last time. Maybe it was an accident, and
Yeah.
give them some gifts as well to show that you're not just bringing back exactly. You're trying to, gifts of friendship.
Yeah, so first bring double the money. It might be an oversight and just a mistake, and you can deal with it there. And then bring gifts, right? Bring choice, bring gifts, choice of the land. And what will the gifts do? Really to sort of appease
A little balm and a little honey.
the ones in charge. And then he says he offers them a blessing or a prayer.
Yeah.
May God have mercy on you.
May God Almighty grant you mercy. It's interesting, the story so far. When God is invoked, we see the first part of the story is what is God doing to us? This is a reckoning now. They're in terror and fear because they are under God's justice and wrath. But now there's an invocation for God's mercy in this from their father. So it's a fascinating story of the sins coming back upon them, and is it going to be justice or mercy? And there's a tension now in this. And what is it that will bring mercy to them? What will bring justice to them? So they took his present, and they took double the money and Benjamin, and they went down to Egypt, and they stood again now before Joseph. All right, so let's see what happens next here. 16 to 25. All right. Where we leave off here? Let's see. Stephanie, you want to read the next section there? 16 to 25.
When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph told him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may assault us and fall upon us to make us servants and seize our donkeys." So they went up to the stewards of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house and said, "Oh, my lord, we came down the first time to buy food. And when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack."
Right up here.
Oh, our money is full of weight. So
What happened? Sorry about that.
it's okay.
It's a test for you.
It's
Yes,
kind of like a game. Let's keep going.
Test. Here we go. Our money is full weight.
So we have brought it again with us, and we have brought other money down with us to buy food. We do not know who put the money in our sacks. He replied, "Peace to you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys fodder, they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there.
Okay. All right. So what's happening in this section now here? So Joseph sees Benjamin with them, and what does he do?
He brings them up to his house, top of the line seat, so to speak, at the king's table almost, in a sense, and prepares a meal for them.
Yeah, he's preparing a meal for them. They're going to dine with me at noon. Now, they don't know that they're going to dine with him at noon, but they are simply told they are brought to Joseph's house.
It's
What
kind
are
of
they?
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's kind of like the prodigal son a bit, having been wronged and then saying, "Bring him everything."
Right?
Fat,
Yeah.
the fattest calf in forgiveness.
There is something there, but they don't know that yet, do they? They're afraid when they find out that they have to go to his house. What do they think's going to happen?
We're
Gonna keep them
toast.
to servants.
Yeah. They're going to fall upon us. He's going to make us all. They are so vulnerable right now. They are far from home, the most powerful man in the land, who they think thinks has stolen from them, has brought them to their house, and they think we're done for. So they go up to the house, and what do when they get to the house?
Start apologizing for having that money still, for not having left the money there.
Yeah, they come clean. They're like, "Look, we found this money in our bag. Here it is. Here's the extra money and everything." And what does Joseph say to them?
God put the money there. I got your money, and
Yeah.
God's put money in your sack.
That phrase, "peace to you," is such an important phrase. We hear that a lot in the scripture, grace and peace to you. What does that mean when he starts by saying peace to you?
He's trying to set their minds at ease.
Yeah. Yes. We are not enemies. There's no wrath here. There's no anger. We are reconciled. There's no issue. Our relationship is fine. We are at peace. There's nothing to be afraid of. And so that's why so many times when Jesus begins, he interacts with his disciples. How many times does he say to them, "Peace to you"? He starts off because he appears and there's terror in them for a number of reasons, not just because they're in the presence of the Lord, but they're also in the presence of the Lord who they betrayed, who they abandoned in his time of need. They're in the presence of the Lord they recognize their sin, like Isaiah. Woe to me, I've seen the king, and I'm a man of unclean lips. And to hear those words of peace to you, don't be afraid. Peace to you, don't be afraid. And then he gives again, he invokes God. God is the one who has put the treasure in the sacks for you. I receive your money. And this is actually truth in that, even though Joseph was the one who did it. It was God behind the scenes who brought this all about, that they should have that. And then he releases Simeon and brings him out to them. And they have their feet washed, and just all of a sudden, the greatest fears turn to the greatest pleasures now, all of a sudden, in a moment. So what happens here? Well, let's take a look at 25. 26 to we can finish the chapter. Let's do it. 26 to 34. Rob, you want to bring us home here? Rob Roy?
Yep. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house, when Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that they had with them, and bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, your father, is well. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they drank and were merry with him.
Okay. All right. So they have the banquet now. And he inquires about their welfare, asks about their father. Is he still alive? Your servant, our father's well. So, and then he sees his brother Benjamin. And what happens then?
He becomes overwhelmed.
Yeah. This is his brother. And when he's overwhelmed, what does he do?
He weeps.
But he had to hide his weeping from them.
He hides his compassion, his love for his brother. He hides it. He can't show it just yet. And he goes and weeps. He comes out, he controls himself. He serves the food. They ate separately. Egyptians don't eat with the Hebrews. And by the way, the beginning of the scene here, what do the brothers do when they come into his house?
They bowed down and presented the gifts that they had brought.
Yeah, they bow down to him. And this time it's not 10 bowing down. It's
11.
It's 11, which is this is the fulfillment of that dream of the 11 brothers and their bales of hay, and they're bowing down now to their brother, all 11 of them, not just 10, but all 11. So now the next sort of, if you want to call it, consider this actually a little bit of a test here, not as significant as the Simeon test, but I think a helpful one. What does he do next when he brings the food?
Well, the youngest is served much more than the rest of them. So the youngest is treated with more honor and respect than the eldest.
Yeah, so Benjamin gets 5 times as much as everyone else. Why do you think he does that?
Because the same thing is when his father gave him that fancy coat, they were all jealous of it. He wanted to see if they showed jealousy to Benjamin.
Yeah. Are they really changed? Are they really changed? So when one brother receives, will they rejoice that their brother is so honored, or will they resent him? That's what happened before with Joseph. He was honored above them, the youngest of them, honored above them, and they resented him and despised him for it. Now with Benjamin, if here you have a chance now to prove your repentance. If I honor him in this way and show him such grace and not, I can't imagine that Benjamin is actually going to eat all that food, 5 times as much as the others. But to clearly show favoritism here like that, how will they respond? Will they be resentful? What does it say? How do they respond?
They drank and were merry with him.
They were merry with him. It did not diminish their happiness. And really, that's how it should have been before. Jacob and his 12 sons, they're not living in poverty. You know, yeah, Joseph is being favored among his brothers, but they're all doing great. They're doing well. The Lord's been blessing Jacob, and they are filled with resentment and jealousy because their brother is honored above them. And now this is the response of faith. That what do you do? What does it say about love is sincere, and you weep with those who weep, and you rejoice
Those who rejoice.
those who rejoice. That's really that's what love is. When you love someone, you weep when they weep, you rejoice when they rejoice. That's that kind of connection with someone. That's a real test of it. A real test of love is when they succeed and thrive, are you sincerely happy because they are thriving? And when they are struggling, does that grieve you? And so here's a test. Do they really love their brother Benjamin? And the answer is yes, they do. They do. There's real fruits of repentance that can be seen in these various tests. They've shown their devotion to their brother Simeon, coming back for him, their honesty with money and bringing back all the cash that they had brought with them down. They have told the truth in every setting so far. And now when one brother is honored above the others, they do not resent it a bit, but rejoice with that. And part of the rejoicing is they realize that they have been forgiven and saved, that God's wrath is not hanging over them. They are eating at a banquet table now. Their greatest fears are gone. Peace to you. And that gives such joy to their hearts. So we'll break it here. Any questions or comments before we go? Got that there. All right. Let me hang on a second. Pause. See. There we go.